time. During one of his meetings, he was handed a sheet of paper, a block of wood, and 4 tires, and told to return home and give all to Dad. That wasn't an easy task for Gilbert to do. Dad was not receptive to doing things with his eager son, but Gilbert tried. Dad read the paper and scoffed at the idea of making a pinewood derby car with his young son. The block of wood remained untouched as the weeks passed. Finally, Mom, me, stepped in to see if she could figure this out. The project began. Having no carpentry skills, I decided it'd be best if I simply read the directions and let Gilbert do the work. And he did. I read aloud the measurements, the rules of what we could do and what we couldn't do. Within days, his block of wood was turning into a pinewood derby car. A little lopsided, but looking great, at least through the eyes of me. Gilbert had not seen any other kids' cards and was feeling pretty good about his blue lightning, the pride that comes with knowing that you did something on your own. Then the big night came. With his blue pinewood derby in his hand and pride in his heart, we headed to the big race. Once there, my little son's pride turned to humility. Gilbert's car was obviously the only car made entirely on his own. All the other cars were a father-son partnership with cool paint jobs, sleek body styles, made for speed. A few of the boys giggled as they looked at Gilbert's lopsided, wobbly, unattractive vehicle. To add to the humility, Gilbert was the only boy without a man at his side. A couple of boys who were from single-parent homes at least had an uncle or a grandfather by their side. Gilbert had Mom. As the race began, it was done in elimination fashion. You kept racing until you were the winner. One by one, the cars raced down the finely sanded ramp. Finally, it was between Gilbert and the sleekest, fastest-looking car there. As the last race was about to begin, my wide-eyed, shy, 8-year-old son asked if they could stop the race for a minute because he wanted to pray. So the race stopped. Gilbert hit his knees, clutching his funny-looking block of wood between his hands. With a wrinkled brow, he sat to converse with his father. He prayed in earnest for a long minute and a half. Then he stood with a smile on his face and said, "Okay, I'm ready." As the crowd cheered, a boy named Tommy stood with his father as their car sped down the ramp. And Gilbert stood with his father within his heart and watched his block of wood wobble down the ramp with surprisingly great speed and rushed over the finish line a fraction of a second before Tommy's car. Gilbert leaped into the air and said, "Thank you," as the crowd roared their approval. The scoutmaster came up to Gilbert with a microphone in hand and he asked the obvious question. "So you prayed to win, huh, Gilbert?" To which my young son answered, "Oh, no, sir. That wouldn't be fair to ask God to help you beat somebody else. I just asked him to make it so I wouldn't cry when I lost." Children seem to have a wisdom far beyond us. Amen. Gilbert didn't ask God to win the race. He didn't ask God to fix the outcome. He asked God to give him the strength in the outcome. When Gilbert first saw the other cars, he didn't cry out to God, "No fair, they had a father's help." No, he went to his father for strength. Wow. Perhaps we spend too much of our prayer time asking God to rig the race, to make us number one, or too much time asking God to remove us from the struggle, when we should be seeking God's strength to get through the struggle. Gilbert's simple prayer spoke volumes to those present that night. He never doubted that God would indeed answer his requests. He didn't pray to win, thus to hurt someone else. He prayed that God supply the grace to lose with dignity. Gilbert, by stopping the race to speak to his father, also showed the crowd that he wasn't there without a dad, but his father was most definitely there with him. Yes, Gilbert walked away a winner that night with his father at his side.
Amen.